Cool, great. Oregano, question 171. Question 171 starts off asking about this business of narrative notes. And so really, you have narrative notes, ways of recording control systems, narrative notes, flowcharts, and questionnaires, internal control questionnaires. I guess what you want to try and talk about is how these could be evolved into internal control questionnaire evaluations, where here usually you have this long list and people just tick yes or no. So you say, is this control in place, is this control in place, or is this control in place, and the person just says yes and no. So most of the time they're just tick boxing, they don't really know if the control is working. So here the evaluation, the ICQE, actually forces the user to actually show how that control works. I guess narrative is what it is. You're just writing these long notes. It depends on who's writing, how clear their handwriting is, and how what's the word? How linked the arguments are, so that someone else can follow. I think that's it, typically. And I think that's the thing. I think flowcharts are quite. I mean, they're pictures, aren't they? So most people tend to follow them quite easily. But they're difficult to design because they're different. There's a different language. You need to learn the language for flowcharts. Maybe that's what the problem is. So I think that's the thing. So I think if you're going to literally say every single control that's going on, you will have to write everything down. Now, internal controls, you have a list of questions. Usually you have that list kind of semi-prepared, and again, like I said, the problem with these sometimes is they might have it might just be this long list of questions with controls that aren't even there and no one really uses. So that's the issue, is unless we make something specific. And sometimes the ICQE might miss out controls that we want to talk about but aren't there. So it's a balance, ultimately. It's a balance. So good. So, and this could be documenting any system, of course, right? It doesn't really matter what system we're talking about. The issues that is the system is recorded. Then the question goes on to talk about control objectives. I mean, the control objectives are really asking, why is the control in place? Why do you have this? What is the control trying to prevent? That's the key issue here. And this is an organizational issue, really. It's not about us per se. It's, and you can have which is what you have here, all these mini reasons, mini objectives, leading ultimately to the major objective, if you like, which is to make sure that sales are correctly recorded and the organization is able to get its correct revenue or money for a product it's sold. That's the ultimate goal. And so and you've come up with a couple of ideas. I mean, we'll look at the answers in a second. Again, these people, I've looked through this, and this is all very good. Again, they have a number of issues. If you look at Oregano, they were taking orders, and those weren't quite connected to. Basically, there was no direct link between taking orders and what they had in inventory. And so, you had this kind of disconnect, which you talk about here. And all these, again, you mentioned are all very, very correct. I've read through this. This is all very good. Yes. And again, they talk about this people being able to place things online and exceeding their credit limit. You talk about, which is just, you shouldn't have. Yes, so you have inexperienced staff coming in. So you actually picked up on all the issues, which was very good. This is out of 20. I'll probably put you at that 17 mark because you did a really good job of this, and even the way your recommendations are very clear, and that's what you want to practice. Just make sure you're really focusing on these type of on this type of structure, this order. You're putting everything in. So I'm sure on the day, hopefully you'll be able to reproduce controls and then moving on to substantive procedures as soon as you can. Cool, good work.